If you're over 60, I'd like to ask you something personal. Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you were there? Or stood at the fridge holding the handle, not sure whether you were opening it for milk or memories? If you felt that quiet panic just for a second, you're not alone. But what if I told you it's not just age? As a neurologist with over 30 years of experience, I've seen hundreds of patients, teachers, truck drivers, war veterans, and proud grandparents who all ask the same question. Why is my mind not as sharp? I still feel young inside. And my answer is always the same. It's not just aging, it's what's silently feeding your brain or draining it every single day. See, every bite you take, every snack, every glass of juice or cup of coffee, it either protects your brain or it begins a slow unraveling, leading to memory fog, high blood pressure, or worse, a silent stroke while you sleep. You don't feel it. You don't see it. Until the moment your hand won't move, your words won't form, or your grandchild's name escapes you. But here's the hope. You can reverse this. You can protect your brain before it needs saving. And it starts right in your kitchen. So if you're with me, I'm going to show you 10 food habits quietly sabotaging your brain after 60 and what to do instead. If you've ever felt even a little brain fog, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. I'd love to know. And please subscribe now and tap the bell so you don't miss what could save your memory tomorrow morning. Number 1, the meat mistake that could be setting you up for a stroke. Let me start with something I see far too often. A man in his 70s walks into my clinic. His hand feels a little numb. He assumes it's from sleeping on it wrong or a pinched nerve, but we run a scan, and there it is. A small stroke. Silent. Already happened. And when I ask about his diet, I hear the same thing I've heard for 30 years. Doctor, I eat pretty healthy. I have a sandwich every day, some ham, a bit of bacon on the weekends, maybe a hot dog at the cookout. That's when I take a deep breath, because here's what most people don't know. Processed meats, including ham, bacon, sausages, hot dogs, and deli slices, and are one of the most dangerous everyday foods for the aging brain. And I don't say that lightly. These meats are filled with preservatives called nitrates and nitrites. Once inside your body, they break down into compounds that damage the lining of your blood vessels, especially the ones in your brain. Over time, that damage leads to inflammation, then narrowing, then hardening of the arteries. Doctors call it cerebral atherosclerosis. I call it a recipe for stroke, but it gets worse. Those same preservatives also make your blood more likely to clot. And if you're over 60, your vessels are already more fragile, more sensitive, and slower to recover. Now imagine this. You eat your usual sandwich at noon. You feel fine all day. You go to bed at 10. But sometime in the early morning, your blood thickens just enough. A tiny clot forms and lodges itself in a narrow artery. You wake up not knowing who you are, or not waking up at all. It sounds dramatic, but it's not rare. Let me tell you about Joe. Joe was a retired school principal, 73 years old, still sharp, still active. He came to me for a mild tingling in his left hand, but what we found was more than that. His scan revealed a recent small stroke. He didn't notice it, no slurred speech, no collapse, just a little hand numbness, but his blood work showed elevated clotting factors. And when we looked at his diet, it made sense. Joe was eating sandwiches every single day, deli turkey, salami, or ham. A slice of bacon in the morning. It felt normal to him, safe, even healthy compared to fast food. But no one had told him, not one doctor, not one article had warned him that these everyday meats were inflaming his brain from the inside out. And I want to make sure you know what Joe didn't. When you're over 60, the rules change. Your blood vessels can't take the same hits they used to. What seemed harmless at 40 becomes dangerous at 70. So if there's just one thing you choose to remove from your daily routine, let it be processed meats. Not all at once, but start small. Swap deli meat for grilled chicken. Choose wild-caught salmon. Cook up some scrambled eggs instead of bacon. Give your brain a break from the chemical war it's quietly fighting. And remember this, it's not about giving up flavor, it's about choosing clarity over confusion, choosing memories over sandwiches. You worked too hard in life to lose your independence over what's in your lunchbox. Let me ask you this. Have you been eating processed meats daily without knowing the risks? Type yes in the comments if this was new for you. Type no if you already knew. I'd love to see how common this is. And if you're finding this helpful, take a second to subscribe and turn on the bell. You're not just helping yourself. You're helping your family, your future, and your brain. Because your brain deserves a chance to age strong. Number 2, the sodium trap. How hidden salt quietly raises stroke risk. Let me ask you something. Do you check the nutrition label when you open a can of soup? Or pour salad dressing on your lunch and think, this is healthy, right? If you're like most of my patients, you probably don't give salt a second thought, especially if you don't use a salt shaker. But here's the hard truth. For many Americans over 60, the real danger is not the salt you add. It's the salt you don't see. It's hiding in your kitchen right now, inside that can of chicken noodle soup, in that frozen dinner, even in the so-called healthy whole wheat bread on your counter. And it's not just raising your blood pressure. It's quietly choking the smallest arteries in your brain. Let me explain why that matters. After age 60, your blood vessels lose some of their flexibility. The walls become thinner, more fragile, less able to bounce back from stress. Now imagine pouring a little too much pressure through them. Day after day, week after week. That pressure causes microscopic tears. Your body tries to repair them by forming tiny clots. The problem is, those clots move. Sometimes they lodge in the heart, but often they travel silently into the brain until one day they block oxygen to a part of your memory. And just like that, you forget your nephew's name or how to drive home. Let me tell you about Linda. Linda was 68, a retired librarian. Smart, funny, fiercely independent. She came to see me after a few episodes of dizziness and light confusion. Her blood pressure was high, but she didn't understand why. I never use salt, she said. And she was telling the truth. But when we went over her meals, canned soup for lunch, frozen turkey dinner at night, low-fat salad dressing, whole grain crackers, nothing sounded unhealthy. But the total? Over 3,000 milligrams of sodium per day. That's more than double the recommended limit for seniors. Her MRI showed early signs of white matter changes. In plain English, small strokes had already happened, quietly, without warning. And Linda had no idea. She cried in my office. Why didn't anyone tell me this before, she asked. And that's why I'm telling you now. The kind of salt that's hurting you isn't on your kitchen table. It's built into the modern food system, and it's hurting your brain before you ever feel it. High sodium diets don't just cause heart disease. They are directly linked to brain aging, stroke, and cognitive decline. And the worst part? You may feel fine until it's too late. So here's what I tell all my patients. Cook more at home. Read every nutrition label. Look for low sodium or no salt added. And when in doubt, rinse canned foods with water. Your brain doesn't need flavor, it needs blood flow. Let me ask you this. Have you checked how much sodium is in your healthy frozen meals or canned soup? Comment yes if you've looked. Comment no if you haven't. It might help someone else reading today. And if you're still with me, take a moment to subscribe, because we're just getting started. There are still 8 more silent habits that could be hurting your brain, and one of them might be what you're drinking every day. Number 3, the sweet drink that ages your brain faster than time. Let me ask you another question. Do you drink sweet tea with lunch? A glass of juice in the morning? Or maybe a can of soda while watching the news? If that sounds like you, I need you to pay very close attention, because what feels like a small daily habit might be quietly speeding up the aging of your brain. I'm not here to ruin your favorite drink. I'm here to protect your brain. See, as a neurologist, I've seen the damage sugary drinks can do, long before a stroke hits or memory fades. And it doesn't take gallons. Just 1 or 2 servings a day for a few years is enough to thicken your blood, inflame your arteries, and reduce oxygen to your brain. Let me break that down for you. When you drink something high in sugar, whether it's fruit juice with added sugar, soda, sweet tea, or a fancy coffee drink with syrup, your blood sugar spikes fast. Your body responds by dumping insulin into your bloodstream to bring that sugar down, but over time, especially after 60, your cells stop listening. That's called insulin resistance. And insulin resistance doesn't just lead to diabetes. It causes chronic inflammation in your blood vessels, especially the ones in your brain. That's how tiny strokes happen, silent, accumulating, stealing a piece of your thinking every few months. Now let me tell you about Earl. Earl was 74, a retired trucker, tough man, took pride in staying active. He walked every day, didn't smoke, thought he was doing everything right, until one day he woke up and couldn't finish a sentence. We did scans, found a small stroke in the language center of his brain. He was shocked. "But Doc, I don't eat junk food," he said. And he didn't. But Earl drank 3 cans of root beer a day, every day, for years. No one had told him how sugar in drinks behaves differently than sugar in food. It hits faster, spikes harder, does more damage. And here's the part that breaks my heart. He never knew. He thought it was harmless, a habit, something sweet to enjoy. But for his brain, it was the slow drip of damage. Let me say this clearly. Sugary drinks age the brain faster than time. They disrupt your insulin. They damage your vessels. They invite clots. And in people over 60, they can lead directly to vascular dementia. Even sugar-free versions aren't safe. Artificial sweeteners confuse your metabolism, disrupt gut bacteria, and still raise stroke risk, especially in older adults. So what should you do? Start with one swap. Water with lemon, unsweetened iced tea, black coffee, just 1 cup without flavored syrups or creamers. Your brain doesn't need a sugar rush. It needs steady blood flow. Let me ask you this. What's the one sugary drink you have most often? Could you replace it with something cleaner just for 1 week? Comment the name of your go-to drink below. Let's make this real. And if this hit home for you, please subscribe. Because what we're covering next is even more common than soda. It's those comforting little snacks you grab between meals, cookies, crackers, muffins, that may be doing silent damage every single day. Number 4, the snack that feeds brain fog. Let me paint a picture. You're watching your favorite TV show. It's 3 p.m. You reach for something sweet, maybe a cookie, a granola bar, a few crackers with cheese, just something to hold you over until dinner. It feels small, harmless. You've been doing it for years. But what if I told you that those light snacks may be silently feeding the very brain fog you're trying to shake off? You see, for seniors over 60, refined carbs and processed snack foods are one of the most overlooked threats to brain health. These foods, cookies, crackers, muffins, pastries, granola bars, don't just satisfy a craving. They trigger a chemical storm, Let me explain. Most snacks marketed to older adults are high in refined flour, added sugar, and inflammatory oils. When you eat them, your blood sugar surges fast. That triggers insulin, then your sugar crashes. The result? Your brain gets hit with an energy spike and then a fog. That roller coaster up and down doesn't just make you tired. It damages your endothelium, the lining of your blood vessels. Over time, this damage causes your vessels to stiffen. That's how clots form. That's how blood stops flowing to your memory center. And that's how one snack at 3 p.m. can rob you of clarity by 6. Let me tell you about Diane. Diane was 70, retired school teacher. She came in because her daughter noticed she had been forgetting names and once got lost driving home. She didn't think anything was wrong. I just get a little foggy when I'm tired, she said. Her diet, pretty healthy. Skipped breakfast, had a granola bar mid-morning, some crackers before dinner. A cookie with tea in the evening, but when we checked her labs, her blood sugar was spiking and crashing every single day. Her scans, small vessel disease, silent mini strokes, damage already done. Diane was devastated. I thought I was eating healthy, she said. She wasn't eating fast food, she wasn't drinking soda, but those little snacks, those quiet, innocent bites were slowly unraveling her brain from the inside. Here's what I need you to hear. The aging brain does not respond to sugar and flour the same way it did at 40. It's more sensitive, more reactive, and more vulnerable to inflammation. Every time your blood sugar spikes and crashes, your brain suffers. So what can you do? Replace those snacks with something healing. Try a handful of walnuts, a piece of fruit with almond butter, Greek yogurt with berries, a boiled egg. These may not sound exciting, but they don't ignite brain fog. They don't fuel inflammation. They feed clarity. Let me ask you this. What's your go-to snack in the afternoon or before bed? Be honest. Comment it below. And then comment what you might try instead. And if this made you stop and think, hit the subscribe button. Because we're about to talk about something even more surprising. Not what you eat, but when you eat it. Because if you're over 60, the timing of your meals may be just as important as what's on your plate. And your dinner could be sabotaging your sleep, your healing, and your brain's ability to recover. Let's talk about that next. Number 5, the hidden cost of eating too late at night. Let me ask you something that most people never consider. What time do you usually eat dinner? Is it around 8 o'clock? Maybe later? If you get caught up with errands or a favorite show? If you're over 60, this small detail, the timing of your last meal, could quietly be sabotaging your brain's ability to heal. You see, we often talk about what to eat, but we rarely talk about when to eat. And when it comes to stroke prevention, Alzheimer's awareness, and brain function after 60, timing matters more than you think. Here's why. After you eat, your digestive system kicks into gear. Blood flow shifts from your brain to your gut. Insulin rises. Core temperature changes. But your brain has its job at night. It's supposed to clean itself. That's right. Your brain uses sleep to flush out toxins, reduce inflammation, repair damaged cells, and strengthen neural connections. But if your body is busy digesting a big meal at 9:30 at night, your brain can't do its job properly. And night after night, that disruption adds up. Let me tell you about Harold. Harold was 76, a retired engineer, lived alone, ate late, usually around 9:30 p.m., sometimes as late as 10. He didn't think it was a big deal. It's just when I get hungry, he said, but he started waking up groggy, confused. One morning, he forgot how to start his car. We did imaging. It showed several recent lacunar infarcts, tiny strokes that happen deep in the brain, often during sleep. Harold had no idea, but the pattern was clear. Late eating, shallow sleep, underlying high blood pressure. It was a perfect storm, and he's not alone. Late night meals, especially those with carbs or sugar, spike insulin and blood sugar just before bed. This causes overnight blood pressure fluctuations, inflammation, and impaired brain clearance, all of which increase the risk of stroke and cognitive decline. And the worst part, you won't feel a thing until you wake up one day and your balance is off, or your words get stuck, or your memory skips like a scratched record. So here's what I tell my patients. Try to finish dinner at least 2 to 3 hours before bed. Make your evening meal lighter. Focus on protein, healthy fats, and vegetables. Skip the heavy pasta, rice, or dessert late at night. If you get hungry later, have a few almonds, maybe some warm tea. But let your brain rest, because sleep is the only time your brain gets to heal, and digestion gets in the way. Let me ask you now, what time do you usually eat your last full meal? Comment below. If it's after 8, no judgment, just awareness. And if you try moving it earlier this week, let me know how it feels. And please, if this helped you, subscribe and share this with a friend, because the next silent threat is not what you eat, but what you cook it in. Number 6, the oil that hardens your brain from the inside. Let me take you back to something your doctor probably never asked. What kind of oil do you cook with? Do you still use margarine, shortening, or vegetable oil that's been sitting in your pantry for months? Or worse, do you reuse the same oil to fry eggs or toast in a pan? If so, you may be quietly hardening your arteries from the inside out. And for seniors over 60, that means a higher risk of stroke, memory loss, and slow mental decline. But let me explain. When certain oils are heated, especially the cheap ones like soybean oil, corn oil, or canola, they oxidize. That means they form free radicals. Free radicals are unstable molecules that damage the walls of your blood vessels, especially the tiny sensitive arteries in your brain. Over time, this triggers inflammation, thickens your blood, and increases clot formation. Now, if you reuse oil, for example, frying something on Monday, then using the leftover oil on Thursday, you multiply the damage. Each reheating breaks down the oil even more, releasing more toxic compounds. And margarine, that's even worse. Most margarine is still made with partially hydrogenated fats, even after trans fats were banned in large amounts by the FDA. These fats stiffen your arteries, reduce blood flow to the brain, and raise the risk of silent strokes. Let me tell you about Helen. She was 81 years old, lived alone in a small town in Iowa, loved to cook. And she was proud of her crispy potatoes and fried fish. She thought she was doing it right. She avoided butter and used margarine because it was healthier. She reused her oil 3 or 4 times, thinking it was frugal. But over the last few months, she had grown forgetful, mixed up names. Once, she called her neighbor by her dog's name. Her daughter brought her in. We did a scan. Several small infarcts, silent strokes, damage done, and her blood work showed high oxidative stress and early signs of vascular inflammation. When I asked about her oils, she paused. Then her eyes widened. "No one ever told me oil could hurt your brain," she said. "But it can. And it does, because the brain is 60% fat. And what you cook with, or spread on your toast, changes the chemistry of your blood. So here's my advice. If you're still using margarine, throw it out today. If you're reusing cooking oil, stop. Instead, reach for extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, cold-pressed coconut oil. They're more stable, and they even contain antioxidants that help protect the brain. Let me ask you now, when was the last time you looked at the oil in your kitchen? Comment below with what you're using. If you want help choosing something healthier, just write oil help, and we'll reply with simple swaps. And if this surprised you, please subscribe, because we're almost at the most dangerous mistake of all: forgetting to drink water. Number 7, the dehydration danger nobody warned you about. Let me ask you something simple. How many glasses of water did you drink today? Not coffee, not tea, not soda, just water. If you had fewer than 6, you're not alone. Most older adults don't drink enough, not because they don't care, but because they don't feel thirsty. That's one of the cruel tricks of aging. After 60, your body's natural thirst signal fades. You don't feel dry, but your brain is. And here's the dangerous part. Even mild dehydration can thicken your blood, slow circulation, and raise your risk of stroke, especially while you sleep. Let me explain. Your blood is like a river. When it's hydrated, it flows smooth and clear. But when you're dehydrated, that river becomes a stream of mud. It moves slowly, clots more easily. And in a brain with already narrow arteries, that's a disaster waiting to happen. I remember Mr. Franklin. He was 78, lived alone, loved his independence, always said, "I'm fine, Doc, I don't need help." But one day, his daughter noticed something odd. He was off balance, slight tremor in his right hand, couldn't recall her phone number. His blood pressure was unstable. His labs showed blood concentration, meaning his blood was too thick. Turns out he didn't like water. No taste, he said. He drank coffee all day. Maybe one glass of water with dinner. But no one had ever told him that coffee and tea pull water from the body. They're diuretics. So while he thought he was hydrated, his brain was slowly starving. Scans revealed a small embolic stroke. He never saw it coming, and this happens more than you know. You don't feel thirsty. You don't feel dizzy. Then one day, you forget a name, lose your balance, or feel like your brain is full of static, all because your brain wasn't getting enough blood. And the culprit? Dehydration. So here's what I tell every patient. Drink 6 to 8 full glasses of water every day. If you take diuretics or live in hot weather, drink more. Infuse your water with lemon or cucumber if it helps. And for every cup of coffee, add 1 cup of plain water. Water is not just about comfort, it's the highway your brain rides on. Without enough water, even the best nutrition, sleep, and medication won't matter because nothing is getting to where it needs to go. Let me ask you now, how much water are you really drinking? Comment water check and tell us your average per day. Let's help each other stay accountable. And please, if you care about your brain, hit that subscribe button because next we're going to talk about a daily habit that's hiding in plain sight and keeping your brain in overdrive when it should be resting, and it's probably in your mug right now. Number 8, the caffeine loop. How stimulation blocks brain recovery. Let me guess. You love your morning coffee, maybe even your afternoon one too. It helps you wake up, stay focused, feel like yourself. And as someone over 60, you might even believe it's helping you stay sharp. But here's what I need you to understand, especially if you're drinking more than 1 or 2 cups a day. Too much caffeine may be quietly robbing your brain of its ability to rest, repair, and restore. And it's not just about jitters or trouble sleeping. Caffeine is a stimulant. It affects your central nervous system, your heart rate, and your blood vessels, especially as you age. Let me explain. When you drink caffeine, your body releases cortisol, the stress hormone. Your heart beats faster. Your vessels constrict. Your brain gets pumped into alert mode. That sounds helpful, right? It is, temporarily. But over time, especially if you're drinking caffeine past noon, this over-alert state becomes harmful. It keeps your body in fight or flight mode when it should be relaxing. It disrupts your sleep cycles, and it prevents your brain from entering the deep, healing stages of sleep where memory is strengthened and toxins are flushed out. Let me tell you about Rita. She was 69, a retired nurse, always prided herself on being mentally sharp. But lately, she was forgetting details, struggling to concentrate, feeling moody and foggy. Her diet was clean. Blood pressure is normal. No signs of diabetes. Then I asked about her coffee. She drank 3 large mugs every day, morning, mid-morning, and mid-afternoon. She thought it was harmless. It helped her keep up. But her brain scans showed something different. Chronic small vessel ischemia, a condition where blood flow in the brain is restricted over time, starving brain cells of oxygen. Her sleep was poor. Her nervous system was overstimulated. Her brain never got a chance to rest. And that, more than anything, was wearing her down. So here's my guidance. If you love coffee, keep it, but limit it to one small cup in the morning with food. Avoid caffeine in the afternoon or evening. Watch out for hidden caffeine in teas, sodas, and chocolate. And if you need energy, focus on better sleep, hydration, and steady meals. Let me ask you this. How many cups of caffeine do you drink a day? Really? Be honest. Comment, coffee check, and your number. You might be surprised how common overuse is, and if you're still with me, we're almost there. Because the next part is where it all comes together. The breakfast you choose, the very first thing you eat each day, can either protect your brain or quietly start damaging it. Let's talk about the most dangerous way to start your morning and what to eat instead. Number 9, the sugary breakfast that can sabotage your whole day. Let me ask you this. What did you have for breakfast this morning? Was it a bowl of cereal, a muffin, toast with jam, maybe some light yogurt with fruit? If so, I'm not here to scold you. I'm here to warn you. For older adults, especially after 60, breakfast is not just another meal. It's the foundation of your brain's blood flow, insulin balance, and cognitive stability for the entire day. And the wrong breakfast, the sweet, carb-heavy, low-protein kind, can set off a chain reaction that raises your stroke risk before lunch. Let me explain. First thing in the morning, your body is insulin sensitive. That means your system is extra responsive to sugar. So if you eat something sweet, like cereal, toast with jelly, or a banana with orange juice, your blood sugar skyrockets. Your body responds with a rush of insulin. But as you age, that insulin response becomes irregular. The blood sugar spike triggers inflammation. Inflammation damages your blood vessels. And yes, it can lead to clots. And these aren't the dramatic strokes you see on television. These are mini strokes happening quietly in your sleep while you're watching TV or driving. I remember Robert, he was 73, retired firefighter, said he felt a little cloudy in the mornings, couldn't remember details from conversations. His breakfast? The same every day. Bran cereal with raisins, a banana, orange juice, blueberry muffin. Sound healthy? That meal had over 45 grams of sugar. That's like 11 teaspoons before 9 a.m. His brain scans showed microvascular damage, silent strokes. Blood vessels are narrowing from years of inflammation. He was shocked. I thought I was doing everything right. And he was, by the standards of 20 years ago. But now we know more. So what should you do? Start with protein, eggs, avocado, Greek yogurt, nuts, a small portion of oats with cinnamon. These foods provide steady fuel. They don't spike your sugar. They support your brain, not inflame it. Let me ask you now, what do you usually eat for breakfast? Comment below. And if you're brave enough, try swapping just one sugary item this week. And if you want to give your brain a true gift, stay with me. Because up next is the final piece of the puzzle, the brain protecting breakfast plan I recommend to every patient. After more than 30 years as a neurologist, I've come to believe one thing more deeply than anything else. Most people don't suffer because they don't care. They suffer because no one ever told them the truth in time. And now that you know, everything changes. You've learned how one glass of juice, one slice of toast, or one evening meal too late can slowly and silently steal your strength. You've seen how common habits, processed meats, high salt, sugary snacks, reused oils can turn a normal day into a silent risk. But this isn't about guilt. This is about power, because you have far more power over your brain than you've ever been told. You are not too old. It is not too late. And your brain is not beyond repair. It remembers. It heals. It responds meal by meal, glass by glass, choice by choice. And tomorrow morning, that's your opportunity. You now have the tools, real, doable habits, to reduce stroke risk, protect memory, and sharpen clarity, starting at breakfast. So I leave you with this. What's one small change you're ready to make starting tomorrow? Share it in the comments. Someone might read your answer and feel inspired. And if this video helped you, please subscribe. We make these videos for you, your family, and the next generation of sharp-minded seniors. And if you're serious about stroke prevention, don't stop here, because there's one more silent threat most seniors never see coming. It happens not in your kitchen, but in your bathroom. At the very moment you think you're relaxing. A common shower habit, one most people do without thinking, could be silently raising your risk of a stroke overnight. Click here to watch. This shower habit raises stroke risk overnight. Protect your brain before it needs saving.